On the con, I'm Kijani. For those of you that don't know me, I'll do a little bio about myself. I'm from Seattle area. I've been fursuiting pretty much ever since I joined the fandom in 2008, and most of that has been in a public setting. I've been organizing events locally in the Seattle area, whether it's been for community events, charity events, private events, and also fur meets like bowling and stuff like that, which is also in a public setting. And I just founded a nonprofit organization last September called Emerald City Critters up in Seattle to further that cause and help us get into more prestigious events, and also have us give us a formal name to go by, because that's also very important. So fursuiting in the public setting, who can name some things, some major differences when you're fursuiting in a convention environment like this versus in a public venue? Security. Security, absolutely, yeah. In a convention, everything's more or less controlled. In a public setting, you're very much not so. So you have to make sure everything is under control. That's really the handler's job. We'll cover that later, but yeah, definitely security. And also, when you're fursuiting at a convention, pretty much everyone in attendance is more or less your spotter, because they understand how it is being around fursuits. But in public, when there's not that sense of control, it's much more important for you to so all right, to have everything, make sure you know what you're doing out there and take the precautions necessary, because if something goes wrong at a convention, it can be handled fairly easily usually, but in public it's not the case. So speaking of that, handlers are probably the most important thing when you're fursuiting in public versus fursuiting in a convention. So your handlers are pretty much your performer's eyes and ears. And not only that, they also serve, when you're in public, as spokespeople for the group that you're performing with. Because most fursuit performers do not speak in costume, as that breaks the illusion of the character. So it's really the handler's job to field the questions from the public, and believe me, you will get a lot of questions if you run out as a big fuzzy animal. So some examples. The major question I get is just a general, what is this for? Why are you guys here? If you're not with a particular group, just say we're out with a bunch of friends that we love costume performance, and we like bringing smiles to people's faces, and it's just for fun, and that's usually that, and they think, oh, that's really cool, just a simple answer like that is usually all it takes. Or when I first started going out, handler Chaos Rain, he actually just said, it's Saturday, something like that, and that's also a good answer. And but yeah, be prepared to answer the questions, because if you're not sure what to say, then it could be kind of, it could be a tough situation there. So just have your answers prepared. You'll also get questions like, what's the character's name, simple stuff like that. Handlers need to watch out for pitfalls, potential dangers, and really act as a kind of a bodyguard for the fursuiters. That's really their main job. In public, you're gonna, especially in an animal costume like this, you're gonna attract a lot of kids, and kids do not always behave as well as we would like them to. There's the tail pullers. When you see a group of preteen boys, tread with caution. Those are, especially the age like maybe 8 to 12 or so, because that's around the age where they. Some of them can still believe that it's a cartoon animal come to life, but at that age they're kind of acting tough. They want to be the tough guy, and a lot of times that means roughhousing or causing trouble with the performers. So make sure the handlers are on top of that. Managing breaks is also huge, and also attending to the performer's needs, because when you're out performing in public, things go wrong. So maybe a piece of your costume is coming off, or you need to take a break. It's up to the handler to manage all that and make sure that the performer's needs are taken care of, whether it's water or anything like that. As far as a ratio of handlers to performers, when I'm in public, the ideal ratio, in my opinion, is 2 fursuiters to every 1 handler. I would never go less than 3 to 1, especially in a environment where it's maybe really crowded or a very hectic environment with a lot going on. Because if you have more than 3 fursuiters to 1 handler, it's going to be you're going to just lose track of them. You can't have that when you're performing in public. Okay, so we've got to talk about handlers. how do you get started? Say you want to make a group in your hometown and you don't know where to begin. There's two key things: the crew you're working with and the venue that you're going to be performing at. And actually, in my opinion, the most important thing to start with is to choose your crew wisely. You should never fursuit alone, first of all. You should have at least one handler, because if you think about it, if you're just going out in this and there's nobody around you, it can be actually quite creepy to a lot of people. So I wouldn't recommend it. I know some people have done it, but I certainly wouldn't. Yeah, so I would make sure you have at least 3 to 6 dependable people that you know and that you trust, and ideally some of those people in your crew would have some public fursuiting experience already. I know that's not going to be the case for everyone. Say there's a whole bunch of you that want to start this, I've never done it before, that's okay, but try to get some people in there that have done it before so they can kind of teach the others the ropes. Pick people that are not flakes. I know we all know those people that say they're going to show up to something and just drop the ball. Nothing's worse than saying you're going to show up to a charity event or community event and then have 3 people not be there. That's going to be a disaster. So just pick dependable people for your crew, and even if it's just a bunch of your friends, that's great. It's always fun to do this with people you enjoy being with. Now, choosing a venue. For starters, if you've never been out in public before in a fursuit, a really good place to start is a public park. Because public parks, we're going to talk about this, but public parks are actually obviously public spaces, so there's no mask policies like you would find in a mall. Like a private property would be any store like a Walmart, or almost practically all malls are private property, whether it's indoor or outdoor. Some people think that outdoor malls are okay, but that's actually not the case, because it is private property and they have every right to ask you to remove your mask. You can get into a mall. It's a little tough, but you have to. It requires careful planning and communication, and you have to absolutely have expressed consent from whoever is in charge. Now, I have a story here. About 4 or 5 years ago, back in the Seattle area, we did a Halloween mall meet at a local mall near Seattle, and the person that was organizing that event got the consent that we needed to have our masks on, because the rule is kids can have masks on for the Halloween part, but the adults, they have to have their faces uncovered for security reasons. And she got the clearance for that, but it was not the right person. It was not like the head of security. So when we got there, the head of security had no idea what was going on. And she did not bring the express written consent of the person she talked to earlier, which probably would have been enough to let us go, but she had none of that, so we were actually unceremoniously asked to leave that event, so that was a little disappointing. So always make sure that you have that consent and you're talking to the right person. If you want to just go out and have fun with friends, obviously like bowling is great, mini golf, things like that. When you organize those kinds of events, you want to talk to the manager, of course, and be very clear about what you're doing, because a lot of them have never heard of fursuiting or performing in a costume before. So make sure you ask about changing space, like in a bowling alley. You don't want people changing in the restrooms. That's not ideal. Most bowling centers have a meeting room or a party room that you can rent out. A lot of times they will charge you, but if you have a large enough group coming in, sometimes they will waive that charge, but just make sure it's big enough and you can put fans in there and have a safe place for people to pop their heads off and get some water. For bowling events, also ask about, a lot of bowling centers do not allow feet paws on the approach. Now, I don't know if any of you went to the midnight bowling last night, but they actually did not allow that here in the Blacklight because of an insurance issue. So make sure about that. And also, bowling and mini golf, it's a more controlled and contained environment than just going out taking a stroll downtown. So it's a little bit less concern about like handling issues and stuff like that. But it's a very fun thing you can do. Does anyone else have any more suggestions about just stuff you can do for fun with your friends in fursuit? Yeah.
Also, even if you're out in public, like if you're walking downtown, there's places like the Monterey Bay Aquarium that will ask you to stay within a certain distance of their stores.
That's right. That's a very good point.
I don't know if you covered that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're going downtown, that's a good point, because if you get too close to like a storefront or something major like an aquarium or a zoo, they might think that the performers that you're with are actually representing them. So I think that's the issue, that they don't want to, for liability issue, just in case they do something not that good. So yeah, be careful about that. Yes.
We went to a Special Olympics, had a prom, and one of the local fursuiters had arranged for us to go there. So we had about 8 people in suit, and we got to dance with the Special Olympics kids. It was great. It was great fun. They loved it.
Oh, awesome. Where was that? Was that right?
Yeah, that was in Denver.
Oh, Denver. Okay. Cool. Yeah. That's yeah.
Rainfurrest.
Rainfurrest. Yes, Rainfurrest. Yeah. Rainfurrest. Has anyone here attended a Rainfair in suit? Yeah, I know you have. Yeah. Not in suit. Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Rainfurrest. As far as I've heard, they're welcoming to fursuiters, right? Because it's really costuming is a big part of that. So. Yeah. Have you had any problems at Rainfurrest?
I have a few incidents, but nothing major.
Yeah, nothing major. Yeah. Okay, so let's see.
Who do you contact when you do want to do a Ren Fair? Do you just show up, or do you cut concerts on ahead of time?
Well, usually I've been online just watching and see who's showing up and who, and find out they're going or not.
But you don't need to like talk to someone like an organizer of the event saying we're going to show up in costume, right?
When I went in there, I just showed up.
Yeah, I figured that's the case. Yeah.
Went in and I did 3 Saturdays and I did a weekend. And by the time I got done with that weekend, they wanted to hire me.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Okay, so if you wanted to go a little bit beyond that and get involved with organized events in your actual hometown, nearly all cities and towns, if you live anywhere near a major metroplex, they have festivals during the summer and also during Christmas time. That's another good time. It's a great way to get involved locally. Most of those festivals have some sort of parade with them. There's probably in the Seattle area, there's probably at least 6 to 7 parades during the summertime for every city's festival. So to get in touch with that, just make sure you register for the parade in advance, talk to the organizer. Most of the information is on the websites, so just make sure you do your research. Let's see, so when you make that, oh yeah, also charity events and fundraisers. Those happen almost every weekend. The most appealing for something like this would be a charity that benefits kids or animals, because that obviously makes the most sense. Just do your research. Like say there's a cause that you feel really strongly about. Look up charities that have local factions that are near you, and most of them have, almost all of them that I've seen have a calendar that have events and fundraisers to support that charity. So get in contact with whoever's in charge with that, and just be very clear and explain we're a group of mascot performers. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but how you would present yourself, but just bring it up to them that you would like to help them out and you think that your group can really benefit them and help them make more money. When you do it, present it that way, they're most likely going to be on board with you. Okay, so now contacting organizers. This is probably the most important part of this. How do you present your group of costume performers, fursuiters, and make it so that they will welcome you and get into whatever you're trying to get into? Build a portfolio. That's huge. Build. By portfolio, I mean like maybe a photo album, digital or physical, of your group performing in public. Preferably photos and video, but at the very least photos, because it's really great to be able to see, have them see a video of you guys performing, because that's really helped me get into a few things. As a lot of you know, I'm pretty big on video, so they can actually see what it would be like for them to be interacting with the people related to the charity. Let's see, if your group is brand new, at the very least, have photos of the costumers, of the fursuits that you want to bring in, so they can see those. And if there's any photos of them interacting with people, or especially children, that's really good to show them as well. It shows that you have that experience, and makes them feel a little bit more comfortable having you there. Now, when you're performing in public and contacting with organizers, it is the best to separate your identity from the furry fandom. I know that's unfortunate, but negative connotations about the furry fandom and fursuiters still exist, and a lot of them are are believed. But if it does come up, I actually had this happen once in all my years, so it doesn't happen very often, but if the furry question does come up, first thing is don't get defensive about it. You know, don't say, oh, we're not like those furries, we don't do such and such. Instead, focus on what your group does, the positive part about it. We like to entertain others and put smiles on people's faces. That's why we do this. You know, it's a really fun thing, and we like to make a difference. You know, that's really all you need to say about that. It's okay to say that people in your group are part of the anthropomorphic or furry fandom as a hobby, and it's a great way to network and also to meet other costumers, because that's obviously how you guys got together, was through that. I've never had any problems without explaining it that way. And then let's see, next here. Again, very clearly explain what you would like to do. Use easy to understand terms when you're speaking to them for the first time. Don't use any furry buzzwords like fursuit, stuff like that. Use terms, when you say the word fursuit, most people will have no idea what you're talking about anyway. So that's not gonna help your cause. Use, everyone knows what a mascot character is, or animal mascot character. Creates a very positive image in their head, and they know what it is. Life-size cartoon animals is good. Anything with a positive connotation. State that you'll also be performing for fun and do not seek compensation. That's also very big, because a lot of people, organizations, when you approach them with this, they're going to think, oh, maybe you guys want to be paid for this or in some way. It's great to be paid to do something that you love, but if you want to make money doing this, you're doing it for the wrong reason, honestly. Maybe that opportunity will come up later as you get more established. But in the first run, when you're first starting out, just make sure it's very clear that you don't seek any monetary or otherwise compensation for this. And also, probably the most important thing is state how the festival will benefit from you being there. It's great that you want to do this, but how will it help the charity? How will it help the festival that you're performing for? Say it was some sort of fundraiser for kids, and there's going to be lots of families there, something like that. Just say our characters are great draws, and maybe we can have them stand by a charity booth and attract people to that and help people make more donations and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's one thing. Always offer to help or assist with festivals, fundraising opportunities, or anything that will help them. Because really, when you're performing for an organization, you're not there to go around and goof off and be a funny cartoon animal and just be silly. That's really not the reason why you're there. The reason why you're there is to help the organization or the group that you're performing for achieve their needs. And a lot of times that will mean people in your group will have to help, not maybe fursuiting or costume performance, and maybe helping pass out water to people running in a marathon, stuff like that. You have to be totally okay and on board with people just doing whatever it takes to help that group, and it may not be fursuit related. Also, ask if there is room for changing space for your costumers. That's kind of good. You probably don't want to do that in the initial email, but once you get in and start talking about the details of how your involvement, that's going to be huge. I have a couple of examples here about differences in that, because if there is no, some smaller festivals or events may not have a changing space, and if not, you have to formulate a plan really quickly. Yes?
We bring our own.
I'm sorry?
We bring our own. We have.
Oh, you bring your own? Yes, yes.
We have 2 10x10 canopies with the curtains around them, and tarps to put on.
That's excellent. That is one way to formulate a plan. Now, if you have the means, those tents that pop up are great. Or if you can, maybe someone has a large vehicle with changing, like not maybe like an RV size, but even something like a Dodge Sprinter. If those vehicles that have space in the back where people can just go in and change and come out, that's great. But if you don't have that, things can be a little bit more difficult. Now, there's a festival very near where I live called Bothell River Fest. It's a smaller street festival that we attend every year, and they actually did not have a changing space. They don't have a actually dedicated headquarters near the festival. So actually, what I had to do for that one is I live only about 4 or 5 minutes from the festival grounds, so I would have everyone meet at my house, and we would change into suit at my house. and our handlers would actually drive us over to the festival grounds, and that was one way to solve that. And another, on the other end of the spectrum, we have a festival every October called Issaquah Salmon Days. Now that's by far the largest festival that we do every year. There's about 180,000 people go through the festival grounds every year at Issaquah Salmon Days, and we've been official entertainment there since about 2010, I think, so it's about 5 years now. And they love having us there, and they bend over backwards to make sure we're taken care of. Now they have a headquarters in the city hall, which is actually right in the middle of the festival grounds, and we have a whole room in the back dedicated to changing space. So just make sure you ask if that opportunity is there, and they'll usually take care of you once you get in. Another option is to rent out a room at a local facility nearby, such as a library or an office building. That could get expensive, but it's really important to have that changing space if you don't have the tents or anything like that. And finally, always act courteous and professional at all times. You will get turned down. It will happen. For one reason or another, maybe they don't think your group is a perfect fit for what they have at that time. But keep trying and don't give up. Always thank them for their time, even if they turn you down. And never give up. There will be opportunities out there for you. Let's see. Does anyone else have any points on that? Yes?
If you're going to do something like a parade, especially in warmer climates, and if it's during warm weather, block the route before you decide the group wants to do it. I'm with Curtis by the Bay down in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there's a Piedmont parade, and the route for the thing was during July.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
You'd only be walking 2 miles.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The parade that we usually do every year is also in July. It's 4th of July weekend usually, and it's usually not that hot in Seattle. But one year we did it; it was 95, 92 or 95, and that was absolutely miserable. So that's a really good point to always walk the route. If you're going out in public, scout it beforehand. I think I was going to talk about this later, but it's good to bring it up now. That's really important, to scout out your surroundings and make sure that you know what you're in for before you arrive.
We can guarantee the organizers, unless they've dealt with similar mascot things before, they won't know.
They won't know. Yeah, you have to find. That's something you have to find out for yourself. And my motto: always be prepared as possible for any of this, because you don't want anything to surprise you once you're out there in costume performing. Because sometimes it's pretty hard to deal with issues that come up. That was actually my next point, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. Preparing for performance, as we said, scout the venue in advance. Know your exits, that's really huge. Depending on where you're performing, in case there's an emergency or something, always have a plan in place. Break locations also. For a larger festival, you can't expect your performers to go 2 or 3 straight hours, however long you need to be out there without taking any sort of a break.
When I did Rainfurrest, there was like 20,000. That was in all day long.
All day long. Wow, no break at all?
No break.
That's incredible. I commend you for that. Yes?
We've had problems where the organizers expect us to work more than Disney characters, which have 20 minutes out and you get a break. If they try to do that to you and it's a hot water event, turn them down.
Right. Yes, that's a good point. That's something else you need to bring up this is something else you don't want to bring up at the beginning, but once you get in there, make sure that there is some sort of break schedule, because they're going to ask you, how long can you guys perform and what the parameters of that are. A good, I think Disney characters do get the 40 on, 20 off, right? Something like that.
20.
Oh, it's 20.
20, because Disney's down in LA.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So it's 20 on, 20 off.
Humidity.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it is very hot down there. But yeah, what I ask for when we perform is I actually do, because it's usually not really strenuous conditions, I ask for 40 on, 20 off. So basically every hour you get a 20-minute break, or sometimes even 15 we can do, because a lot of our performers are more experienced, so we can handle that. But you definitely want to take a break every hour at the very least. So make sure that they have that in their schedule when you're performing, and talk about all that. And but yeah, break locations. So as you're walking the route, see if there's any places where it would be relatively safe for people to duck around and pop their heads off. You definitely want to make sure it's a very secure area. We actually, at our Bothell River Fest, there was a little remember that there's a little house in the back with a little room. It was near Bert the Salmon that one year.
Oh, what this?
Yeah, we were looking for, I was scouting for break locations, and about halfway through the route, because we made one full round of the festival grounds, there was a little, I don't know if it was festival sponsored, but there was a little shack in the back, and it was perfect. It was very, no one could see inside, and there was water in there, and we were able to use that to give the performers a break, and that's really important.
I don't think I made it to that area.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But yeah, just make sure you have all that set up. Even if it requires going back to your starting point and taking a break there, just make sure that's in the schedule. Formulate a plan or a route and follow it as closely as possible. That's really hard to do with a big group of fursuit characters, but it's always best to know where you're going. Like say you're at a festival, a good plan is to just make one full sweep of the festival grounds, and then pretty much you're done. That can take an hour, 2 hours, depending on how big the grounds are, of course. Let's see. Oh yeah, let me give an example here. For probably the most complex plan we ever had, Issaquah Salmon Days a couple of years ago. In talking with the festival organizers, our requirement for our group was we had to have groups of fursuiters at 3 different points in the festival at all times when we were out there. One of them was the Field of Fun, which is basically the kids' play area, where people would expect our characters to be. There was all sorts of kids' activities, bouncy houses, stuff like that. Another one was the Market Street stage area, which is kind of like just a little strip with vendor booths on the side and a stage at the end. That was about a 5-minute walk from where the Field of Fun was. And the third place we needed to have our group was the salmon hatchery, which was clear on the other side of the festival. It wasn't really walkable from where we were. So I was thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? What I did for that festival, what I've done every year for that festival, is I do it in 1-hour rotations, where we perform for an hour approximately, and then we would take a 15-minute break and then shuttle everyone to the next location. Well, the salmon hatchery was extremely far away, so what we had to do for that is we actually had one of our handlers drive his truck, and he would pick up fursuiters, take them in his truck to the salmon hatchery, and then take the salmon hatchery fursuiters that were done there back to the next location. So it was a very complex way of doing it, but it required a shuttle, and we also had we needed a break area in the salmon hatchery because there was nothing over there, so we actually had to bring a tent and provide all that. So it can be that complex, but with enough planning and coordination, you can get it done. Also have handlers carry bottles of water. That's really big, because you don't want to be, say your break location is pretty far off, you don't want to have people having to go all the way over there just to get water. So it's really good to have that on hand at all times, because you guys know stay hydrated is the #1 thing. Yes?
One of the things I use for my kids is these bottles, sports bottles you get at Sports Authority. They have a big, long straw on them.
That's great. Yeah.
And you can...
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah,
goes right in.
Yeah, long straws are great. Yeah, because not every fursuit muzzle can fit a bottle of water. Some of them are static. So yeah, if you can't have that, make sure bottles with long straws are great. Okay, let's talk a little bit about performing in public. Basically, one of the main things is you're going to be performing around kids a lot in suit. And I'm actually glad we have a fursuiter here who's been very patiently sitting here so he can show. So QB, when you're interacting with a kid, I'll pretend to be the kid here. Okay, so I'm a kid and I'm like, whoa, fursuiter. What is the wrong way to approach a kid? Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. Fursuiters can get excited that, oh, it's a kid, so you'll run up to them like this. Don't do that, because you're a big, especially for a younger child, you're going to be a big hulking thing to them, and you will very much freak them out.
Maybe a big monster.
Yeah. I heard this at the last panel that I did, the fursuiting for noobs, and this is actually a great point. Pretend that the kid is a dog. Would you run up to a dog like this? Yeah. No, you wouldn't.
Only if you want to have the dog in your face with its teeth.
Yeah, they're going to act very aggressively, obviously.
With that mask sitting back there, first time I put it on, went over to the neighbor's house, dog went right for my face.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the most important thing is to get down to their level, because you want to make it so you're not, yeah, definitely get down as low as you can, and let them approach you. Let them hug you, you know, kind of open your arms, or if they're kind of unsure, just offer your paw or even just a finger if they're really young. Yeah, exactly, that's great. So the kid will eventually warm up to you if they're kind of unsure, and then you'll win them over that way. Let's see. When you're in public, be careful of where your paws go. You don't have to be as strict as like a Disney theme park, but it's always a good, even when you're posing for photos, make sure you have your paws visible at all times, because say your paws they can't see it and they snap a photo, that can be used against you. I'm sure you guys have, if you're Critters by the Bay have a policy about that, yeah. Make sure paws visible, yeah.
No holding babies.
Yeah, that was my very next point. A lot of times, for a very young infant, you will be asked to hold a baby for a photo. Never, under any circumstances, take that infant out of the arms of the parent, because you do not have the optimal dexterity, yeah, with your fursuit paws, and babies don't bounce very well. So, yeah, just don't take the chance. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, this is a good exercise. So let's pretend that she's offering you her baby. Okay. So how would you do that? How would you do that? She's offering you her kid. How would you say that?
Oh, okay. So
That's good. That's excellent.
What
yeah.
was that?
So instead of taking it, just kind of pose for the photo like this.
Okay. I thought you were like trying to talk.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That's it.
Okay, and then we pose.
Yeah, that's the one really good way to do it. If no one is there to take the photo, then just non-verbally say you don't want to take it, and they'll understand.
Your handler should handle that too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, handlers are great for that. Just say we have a policy of not taking children. Yeah, handlers are great for dealing with any issues with that. Let's see. Oh yeah, if the kid is really scared, a really good way to deal with that is to act scared in return. So say, Kiwi, I'm like really frightened of you, and I don't want to interact with you, but you're still going to try to win me over. What would you do? Can you give me an example? Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, kind of back away. But another good thing would be to kind of cover your eyes and act scared, to actually hide behind something. Say you had a handler here. A good thing would be to act really scared and hide behind the handler, because when the kid sees, oh gosh, you're scared of me, why should I be scared of you? They'll sometimes, sometimes they'll warm up to you. And another good way is also to interact with the parent, because when you give the mom a high five, or kind of do that, the kid will see, oh, okay, that's my mom, and the character is having fun with my mom. It's just things will be all right. Let's see.
You're gonna watch your character. My daughter's the Spider Wolf.
Oh.
So when we did the Special Olympics prom, we borrowed a different costume. So
Yeah.
Yeah, even cute ones, they don't.
Be very careful about that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. The Wampa attracts kids like crazy.
Well, just be aware of that.
Yeah, use your best common sense with it. Yes.
I'll bring up another point. Sometimes when you got a bunch of other kids, one kid will be kind of standoffish, doesn't want to approach. Then he sees a bunch of other kids come up to the character, it kind of warms up later.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, strength of numbers. Yes.
Also, another thing to look out for is when there's a lot of little kids, your handler really needs to check for sticky hands.
That was just my next point. Thank you very much. I was
hard.
Very white, huh?
Line up, wash your
Yeah.
hands.
Yes. So my very next point was that when you're dealing with kids, especially at like a festival or a fair, a lot of times they'll be holding cotton candy or ice cream or eating pizza, and they'll reach around to hug you. Not a good idea. So make sure if you can see that as the costumer, make sure you don't want to be really rude about it and say no, I don't want to hug, but just kind of back away slowly and maybe that's another point I was going to make. Make sure to watch the hands. Yes.
I was just curious, as far as handlers go, should they have any kind of like identifying something or other so they don't think that you're just messing around with some random person?
Yes, that's a good idea. I have a section, the last section of this is called For the Ambitious, and that's one of the things you can do definitely as your group is to have some sort of identifying, whether it's badges or jerseys or anything, to make it so it's very clear that your group is one entity. Yes.
I always have my handler just wear a tail so that it's clear that.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Yeah, if your goal is to make it clear that the handler is with your group and not just a random person telling people what to do, yeah. That's
Critters by the Bay has special embroidered polo shirts.
Yep.
And you're required to wear a badge.
Yeah.
With your real name, not, when you're a character, then it's like a two-sided deal, like this is one of the badge holders. In the back, you can flip it over, so if you're doing both, you're switching off. You can switch between your real name, persona, for the character.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Emerald City Critters also has badges. Ours say official character performer with our logo on the bottom to make it look very
clear that why we're there.
Exactly. And, well, speaking of spiders, hello.
Oh, there she is.
Okay, let's see, where were we? Okay, yeah, so just make, use your common sense with that. Have fun when you're out there, but be within reason. You don't take personal property from people. Some people like go around stealing hats and stuff. That might be okay if you've already interacted with them and it's very clear that they're comfortable interacting with you. And make sure that your suit smells fresh, please. If you just were at a convention and didn't wash your suit and then go out and do a public event, that's going to be really bad for a lot of people. So yeah, make sure it's fresh and clean. Yes?
Since you're bringing it up with the kids, just assume you're going to have to wash it when you're done.
Yeah, that's a good plan, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good, yeah. After every outing, whether it's public or after a convention, I'll always make sure to wash your suit.
We do it's a Halloween thing at Children's Fairyland up in Oakland. Yeah, they're handing out stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
Just expect it.
Yeah. And one thing that I learned is a good thing. If you're gonna have a long session or multiple sessions in the same day using the same suit, bring multiple changes of clothes. Now, I didn't bring them here because I think most of you know what Under Armour is, right? You definitely want to wear something like that when you're out performing. Never wear cotton. That's the worst thing you can do. Is you're going to be hot and miserable because it's just going to absorb your sweat. Now, like 3 years ago, we did a very long session. I think it might have been a Halloween event. I can't remember. But the time that you know that it's time to call it quits is when you reach around to hug a child and post their photo, and the child goes, "Mommy, the lion's all wet." And the best response ever to that, the mom came back and said, "Of course he is, hon. He's been swimming." That was great. Thanks, Mom. Okay. All right, so let's go to the last section here for the ambitious. I know a lot of you out there really would like to make an official public performance group in your hometown, wherever you live. It will really help for you guys to have an official name to go by. It helps create a sense of solidarity in your group, and also it makes it seem more reputable and professional. And it's much easier to introduce yourself to a prospective organization that you want to work or perform for, instead of saying, "Oh, we're just a bunch of friends that like to do this." It's like, we are Critters by the Bay. We are helping cause. We are Emerald City Critters. It sounds a lot better. Yeah, creating badges or jerseys or t-shirts for your performers to wear is huge. Jerseys serve multiple purposes. I know Helping Paws has jerseys for their events. Those also make it so those kids with sticky fingers, it'll get on the jersey and not on the actual suit. But yeah, at the very least, I would say have badges, official looking badges, which you can get for fairly reasonably cheap online if you order them in bulk. If you're really ambitious, you should definitely trademark the name of your organization and register as a nonprofit. I did that up in Seattle. I think it's different. It's definitely different from state to state, but it cost me about $100 to get that trademark and do all the paperwork associated with registering Emerald City Critters as a nonprofit. Now, I did not do the 501c3 nonprofit because that's extremely expensive, and that's really only beneficial if there's going to be a lot of money flowing through your organization, and something like us. I know we're definitely not going to have the funds flowing through to make it worth it. But at least, at the very least, I would make it a state nonprofit, so you can get those benefits and be official with that. I would also recommend, if you're going to be official, do background checks for everyone that you invite to your organization. Do you guys do that? I'm sure
we don't actually do background checks because there's so many, it's like free economic area.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. If you don't know who it is, ask other members already, and you pretty much know.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's definitely a lot of furries down there, but what I would, just for legal purposes, I would do it because you just want to make sure that people that are performing with you, don't have any past history that would make it so, because you're going to be performing around kids a lot in public, so you just want to make sure legally that is all taken care of. And if some organization asks if you have background checks, it's really good to show that you actually did that, and everyone working with your organization is in the clear on that. Let's see. Yeah, you need to be also somewhat selective about who you allow into your organization. Now, this is always a tough thing, because when you start a new organization, a lot of people will be like, oh, just make it, open invite. Everyone wants to do this, everyone wants to help, but it's just going to get really, really crazy if you do that. And everyone knows people in certain communities that probably shouldn't be performing in public for one reason or another. I know my organization is definitely, anyone can apply. The application's on the website, the application process is on the website. And people can apply as handlers or fursuit performers, character performers we call them. But yeah, just kind of, use caution with that, and most people will be totally fine. But you just reserve the right to not allow people, for whatever reason, as he said, people in the community know who may have a past or a reason why they shouldn't be with your organization. So I think we talked about this earlier, but remember, you are serving the organization that you are performing at, or the event that you're performing at. It's not a furry meet when you go out in public, unless you're actually doing it as a furry meet. But this is a whole different category. When people ask you why, when you ask people why they want to perform for your group, you will get more or less two different answers. One of them is, I want to dress up as a fuzzy dog and be an attention whore and act silly in public. You probably don't want that person performing for your organization. If on the other hand, if they say, I want to help, I want to make a positive difference in the lives of others, I want to make a difference in my community and do this to help other people, that's a really good answer. It doesn't have to be that precise, but that just shows you the reasons why people do this. And the biggest thing to remember about the dressing up, being an attention whore, is it only takes one mistake to ruin it for everyone in your group. And if it's a really bad mistake and the word gets out, it could ruin the fandom. I won't talk about that anymore, but hey, okay. So the worst that they can do is give you the band hammer for any future performances with that group, and obviously you don't want that. Yeah, just make sure everyone in your group is on the same page as far as that goes. So it's totally service to the person the group that you're performing for. Make a website. Web hosting is really cheap nowadays. The web hosting that I use is like $1 or $2 a month for the first 2 years. You don't have to pay for the domain, but it's really not that bad. So definitely, yeah, make sure it's really helpful to forward people to your website to get more information, and also that's a great way to get people interested in what you do and prospective organizations. Like, oh, okay, yeah, you guys are official, you have a website. That's great. Make a Facebook and Twitter also. We haven't quite done that yet for our group because we're fairly new, but that's something I plan to do in the future. Social media, in my opinion, is the way of the future. It's a great way to keep in touch with people, whether it's for a business. Yes?
Critters by the Bay has been around so long, since 1997. It predated all that stuff. So that critter mill.
Oh, you still have a critter?
Critter mill's still going.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And that's members only email thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great too. Yeah, for the members only. It's great to have like a forum or an email list.
That's
mailing
what we
list.
know. You know, we say, hey, you know, the event organizer really send something out. We need people to sign up for such and such event. Let us know so we can tell the organizers how many of us to expect.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to keep in touch within your group is that email list or a forum of some sort. Yeah.
You can use another format. You know, if you're limited members only, well, it also works.
Right. Great. Okay, so business cards also. Business cards are huge. And mostly business cards are for networking when you're actually out performing at your festival or whatever, and people ask you, you know, what is this? What is this for? It's great to just say, oh, here's a business card. This is what we're all about. You know, contact us later if you're interested. We had we did an outing around Christmas time last year at in downtown Seattle near the waterfront, and we passed out a bunch of business cards, and we actually got callbacks from those. And we have 2 private events scheduled. One's in May, and can't remember the other one, but yeah, that's definitely a good way to network. And networking itself is huge. If you know anyone that works for like a charity organization that works with kids or animals or anything like that, just ask them if you guys can do anything with that. If they're having a fundraiser or an event, or even just standing outside their store and waving a sign, anything to get business attracted to them is great. A lot of the difficulty with this is getting into that first event. That's the difficulty. But once you get into that first event and people start to know your name, especially if it's a major event, and they can forward your name onto other similar events or sponsorships, it'll really help. And most of the time you'll find out that it will take off. But it's once you get in and get established, it usually takes care of itself. So does anyone have any questions? That's actually all I had. I don't know how we're doing on time.
You did really good.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Yeah, 5 minutes left. Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments about this?
I'll bring up one point about, in our group, there's enough people that we switch off handling and performing. And if you're new, you shadow a handler, learn the ropes on that. And then you can just watch what the handlers do, watch what the performers do. That way, eventually at cold feet. Yeah. It's like, that's the best way to go out and do it is just play, an additional handler and observe. No, yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, in my group, what we do is you can sign up as a performer or a handler, and we reserve the right to say we need so many performers, because every venue you perform at will be different as far as requirements as how many you're going to need. So part of being in my group is you need to be able to, although someone really might want to be a fursuiter performer, they have to be able to switch off to handler. If we need that. Yeah.
Right, and depending on what kind of event you're at, it might, it might be a dog charity event, or a charity event for dogs, so it might be, in your best interest to have dog fursuiters. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, if it's specific to maybe cats or dogs or something, it would make obviously a lot more sense to have dog characters there. So yeah. Yeah, definitely keep that in mind. That will make the organizers happy too, to hear that there's going to be dog characters there. Anyone else? Okay, all right, I think that's it. Thanks for coming, everyone. I appreciate it. I hope you learned something. Have fun.